Jazz.
Playing jazz.
Smoothie.
Making smoothie.
Calendar.
No meetings today. Remember, dentist at 9:30.
Fire off.
Fire off.
Open door.
Door open.
And we're gonna do one more.
Ah. Open door.
Wrong voice command.
Open door.
Wrong voice command.
Open. Open door.
Repeat that.
Open door.
I didn't understand that.
Hey, open door.
Play on the floor.
Get over the door. Open the door.
Wrong
Open the
voice
door.
command.
Higher.
Higher volume.
Higher. Higher.
Higher.
Good morning, London. It's my pleasure to be here today. And obviously this was meant to make a joke, but there's a serious question behind it. How many platforms did you see? Just replay the video. You saw security. You saw temperature, fire. You saw music or heard music. You heard agenda. You heard voice. In total, 6 platforms, cloud-enabled platforms, which we, in our private lives, have become accustomed to. And this is the major shift, as Safra pointed out into her introduction. Although, in the perception of the end customer, the value delivered is still the same. There is music, the temperature goes up, the door opens, security. Under the hood, the technology that enables this has fundamentally differed. And that is also the contribution that I'd like to share with you today. When you go to Google and you type in 9 shifts technology operating model Deloitte, you will find this piece of research of a colleague of mine and I, which we started out about 2 years ago. It's 150 pages, and it starts from this premise that there's not just one thing changing in the world in which we live as technology professionals. It's 9 shifts, of which one, the red one, is a big one, the move to cloud, the move to platform. But there's others as well, a move to agile ways of working, different configuration of your workforce. So I'd like to walk you through a number of examples of close collaboration between Oracle and Deloitte across the world, and show you how we try to help our clients to deliver the business value that we are promising. So let's just start out why we wrote this research. You could say that independent of the new technology, for the coming 15 years, Moore's law and all these drivers will force us to constantly look outside and ask ourselves the question, is this new technology disruptive? Is it going to help me? Should I trial it out? How much time do I have? Will some startup or competitor be faster? And so you might say that instead of dealing with disruption and technological development on an incident-by-incident basis, you might want to say, I want to organize for this. I want to have a business of technology operating model that is easily adapted to those new waves of technology. Now, the reality for a lot of companies is this. They started out years ago, they had their website, they have their apps, but in essence, when you open up the hood and you look at functions like finance or human resource management, you can only have to conclude that they really didn't digitally transform that part of the business. And that, we feel, is crucial. Because the worst thing that can happen to you as a firm, and we see this with quite a number of our clients that are struggling in this space, is you get more or less caught in the middle, right? You have the illusion of digital transformation at the customer side or the employee side, but on the back end, it's really old-fashioned. And so for a lot of companies, this challenge is becoming much more important. We as Deloitte define digital transformation as the following. It's to future-proof your business by bringing new technology to the market, and here comes what is different from those of us that have been in technology for a long time, it needs to be faster, rapid. It needs to be a repetitive machine, successive. And it needs to be designed to scale. And so that's why we created these 9 shifts. Because in a lot of boards that I have the privilege to address, representing the research part of Deloitte, this is what most boards will tell you. I want to be faster, I want to be repetitive, and I want to scale by design. And meanwhile, in the cellar, there's a team. We close the door, we open up a hatch, we threw in a sandwich, and we said, cheaper and shut up. It's called the IT department. And that division just does not stick in a world in which you have to digitize the firm and not just the front end of the firm. And so we created these 9 shifts, and I'm not going to walk you through all of them today, but I'm sure you'll recognize. On the left-hand side, you see the characteristics of the new operating model: rapid, successive, and speed. Then you have a number of boosters. You can choose to work agile. You can choose to design your environment as an ecosystem. You can choose to shift part of the responsibility of the technology to the business side. In the middle, you find what we sometimes refer to as showstoppers: complete redesign of your workforce, complete redesign of your budgeting process of technology, which, by the way, you will find a big article on in our just recently published Tech Trends 2020 report. You'll find it on the web. And the digital DNA, as Safra already mentioned, the change management. And then on the right-hand side, there's a huge number of new technologies. You might even say technologies that are beyond your control. They happen, and you have to cater for them. So let me give you a typical example of a company struggling. We're too slow. All right, so move to agile ways of working over time to DevOps for the whole firm and not just a small part could be a sensible thing to do. Moreover, move to cloud-based architectures, the likes of the solutions that you will see in a moment from Oracle. That might be really helpful to move to agile because it will give you scale. But not only does it give you scale, it gives you access to a platform of ecosystem partners that are really innovative and will help you to be more successive in your innovation endeavors. Typical example of that is obviously that whilst you're doing that, there's a downside too. When you do not need patching to the degree that you used to do in the past, when you robotize large parts of the infrastructure and the application landscape, you will have to look at your workforce. Meanwhile, you'll need data scientists, cloud brokers, new types of profiles. And here's another one. If you move to agile ways of working, scaled agile ways of working, and you will make somebody in the business responsible for an end-to-end process or an end-to-end customer journey, then you cannot anymore work in a model in which you have ownership of specific applications. You will need to change your budget and your governing as well. Now, not by surprise, obviously, Oracle has a lot to deliver on the right-hand side of our model. When it comes to digital reality, Internet of Things, customer experience technology. In its essence, obviously, Oracle being the founding father of data approaches in the world, and finally, in the move to cloud. So let me give you a few examples of 2 clients of Deloitte that I think are typical for the type of journey we're talking about. Stolt-Nielsen is a company that is big across the world in the transport of liquid gas, but a number of other high-intensive, but particularly high-investment environments. And for a company like this to have a clear and almost real-time insight in their financial performance across the world is of paramount importance. So here digitization was put in place together with Oracle to make sure that the reporting process across the businesses, across the world, is taken care of very efficiently and very fast. They're in natural gas, they're in sea farms, they're in terminal business, they're in tank and containers, and they own their own ships. And so across the world, we help them to implement, with a team led here from the UK, but across different geographies, obviously, using our momentum approach, which we designed for the Oracle stack. It starts from a premise. It starts from personas, people that have journeys in their job. And in those journeys in their job, there's moments that matter. So we identify those moments that matter. And based on that, we create user stories. And we iterate those stories. And then we start delivering the first versions of what the solution might look like. Constantly looping, interfacing, using agile ways of approaching to make sure that the user is really happy with what comes out. We validate, we rehearse, and we bring to life. Looking through the lens of my 9 shifts, this is what actually happened. The decision was taken to go to the cloud, the major decision that is top of mind in this conference today, because it allowed for speed, rapid development. But it also allowed, in the case of Stolt-Nielsen, to tap into an ecosystem of other partners. Stolt-Nielsen already has quite an impressive deployment of Microsoft technology, for instance, Power BI. And therefore, the close collaboration recently announced between Oracle on the one hand and Microsoft is of huge importance for companies like these, because they embrace the idea, which in our model is number 2, of building solutions in close collaboration within ecosystems, not just implementing an instance of a piece of software. There were other things that mattered in this case. You see box number 3, the boundaries between business and IT are blurring. IT needs to have tech-fluent business leaders. And so in this particular case, to scale, the ownership of the whole technology stack was moved towards the finance function. So IT does not own the tech anymore for this part of the stack. And this is something you'll read in the research we see across the board. In fact, my former colleagues at Gartner, I used to be a Gartner researcher, predicted that just about now, the tipping point will be there that much more of the technology stack is actually owned by the business and not by the IT department anymore. So when we summarize the Stolt-Nielsen case, the goal was to implement a state-of-the-art financial consolidation solution in the cloud called FCC. Throughput time of the whole project was 8 months. The solution that we're talking about is financial control and close in close connection with the Oracle EPM cloud environment. Business value realized, first of all, future-proofing the solution, but also creating the foundation for financial transformation in the firm. And secondly, as was already mentioned in earlier conversations, lower TCO, fingertip change of functionality delivered by the Oracle stack. Now, we're talking about a commercial company here, but there's more to life than making money. And so I'm very proud to share with you another client of ours, which we feel makes great use of the Oracle technology stack. So Save the Children is a UK-based global international company, organization that helps children across the world. And to give you a bit of the numbers, we're talking about 30 independent organizations, 17,000 staff across the world, 72 countries, trying to improve the lives of 49 million children. And part of that job is obviously when something happens in the world that needs support, from the example that I gave a moment ago in Indonesia, one of their big challenges is to assemble on the spot the right team of doctors, nurses, support people with the right language skills, with the right availability. So to have a global insight on who's available where in the world to do what in their business model is of crucial importance. They do this in different domains. Obviously, hunger prevention, health, emergencies, but also after the event has taken place, putting in place schools and learning capabilities, and increasingly across the world, protecting children from harm. So here's from the leader of the program, the goal that they try to reach.
All over the world, Save the Children is making a crucial difference in the lives of children, their families and their communities. We are aiming to ensure that no child dies for preventable causes before the age of 5 years. All children will get quality basic education and all children are protected from harm. The Oracle HR program will enable us to identify what skills we have and where they are, which helps us to staff and deploy our people more quickly.
That's the starting point. And so the case, as I'd like to present it to you, delivered next to this value a number of other benefits. First of all, one unique human resource process deployed across the world. Just imagine that, 72 countries, different legal environments, different traditions, in some cases even no internet connection or hardly any internet connection. The lead time was 8 months for the global design, and we are now in waves deploying this within 3 to 5 months in total of 5 ways across the world. The solution that Oracle delivered, Oracle HCM, is a core human resource environment, absence, recruitment, well, the things you would expect from such a solution. But given the fact that it is cloud-based, it's deployed across the world, and it delivers massive business value. Improving user experience in those countries in which, in some cases, access to technology is rather difficult, but very much also improving responsiveness to the things that happen across the world, and that call for Save the Children to step up and represent the interests of these children. When you look through the lens of the 9 shifts, this is what you see. So their starting point was, we want to have a scalable human resource environment supported by modern technology. And hence, a choice for the cloud solution that Oracle has in place made a lot of sense. What also was part of their approach is, once they now have these data, that will allow them to get much more insight in the match between the type of capabilities they need across the world versus what they can deliver. So their efficiency and effectiveness will dramatically improve. And since the stack enables to create all kinds of attractive interfaces in different cultures with different characteristics, that allows them to much more and much better reach out to their employees. There's also a governance and risk perspective here. You can imagine that for an organization like this, working with children, it is extremely important to keep tabs on whom they're recruiting, if these people are up to standards, because they're working with children. And so they're using the Oracle solution also to be compliant to those rules. Now, in their case, that led to another conclusion, which is the number 4 there, the key reconfiguration of their tech team. When you move to a cloud environment, the likes of the Oracle HCM, you will need different skills. And particularly in their case, leadership and digital DNA was the most important one. I'm sure some of you are part in your spare time of charities or even invest in charities. And I'm sure that you recognize that a lot of people that do this have a passion for what they do, and you not necessarily look at the world through the lens of efficiency and business models. And so to have the type of leadership that really makes this happen is a crucial part of the digital DNA. So allow me to finish with a testimony of our client explaining what value he perceived in working together with my colleagues at Deloitte.
Deloitte has enabled us to do the deployment ourselves by taking the lead first, then build on knowledge transfer, and that has enabled us to take over that lead position. And this all has now put us in a position where we can deploy in 70 countries to 17,000 staff.
To make an impact that matters is Deloitte's corporate motto. And I would hope that you would allow us to do this for your company as well. Thank you very much.